Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on GLP-1s for 2 years and lose 150 pounds between the two of us? Well, today we're going to talk about our adventure over the last 2 years taking tirzepatide. I've taken Zepbound and Mounjaro, give you some insights into what we've learned, give you some insights into some of the surprises along the way, and hopefully tell a few stories that might interest you a little bit. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
We are the Downsized. This is the channel where we talk about all things GLP-1 every day, ranging from news to personal stories to research to interviews. You name it, we talk about it every day. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like and subscribe, and you'll catch us every time we do a video. And we always like to say, we're just your suburban neighbors. We've succeeded on these medications, but we are not doctors. So if you need help with your healthcare journey, your health and wellness journey, you want to take tirzepatide, semaglutide, you name it, please talk to your doctor and get a plan just for you.
We started our GLP-1 journey September 29th of 2023. Today is October 1st of 2025, so right at 2 years. And we started on the same day.
Exact same day.
And we had it in the refrigerator for a few weeks before we decided it was time to start.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back, so you've lost how much now?
50 pounds.
And I've lost a little bit more than 100. When you think back about it, I mean, I don't know, we had struggled for almost 2 years to even afford this, to make the right decision. I think I had a prescription for Ozempic at the time.
Well, years ago, so maybe 3 years ago, maybe, whenever Ozempic, we started hearing about it, like stars were taking it, it's available. So he went to his doctor, got a prescription for it. I took the prescription to CVS and they said it was $1,000. And I'm like, who can afford this? We can't afford this. And so that was kind of the end of that. Fast forward to my friend Elaine getting started with Mounjaro. I started Googling Mounjaro. I found some online telehealth providers and I got started.
So the vials in the refrigerator, right? This whole thing shows up in a pack. Needles, vials.
I'd never given myself a shot. I hate shots. I don't want to. Can I do this?
Are you scared?
I was terrified. I'm like, I don't know if I can give myself a shot. So you gave me my first probably month's worth of shots, of the weekly shots. I couldn't do it. You know, I look back now over 100 shots later and I can indeed do it myself. At some point I just said, you know, this works. It's not that bad. I can do it. And I did it. But it was very scary, very overwhelming at first to see that bag of syringes and the vials and what am I, I don't have any healthcare experience, no nursing experience. I've never had to do anything like that before.
Well, and for me, I mean, although I have consistently over the last, 20, 30 years, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. It was pretty much, the guy way where you just cut out calories and you lose 20 pounds and then you gain 20 pounds. And so I didn't go through all of the diet processes and the medical things that you've tried.
I've been through
so to me, this was really the first time to try any sort of medicine for this. And honestly, I kind of thought it was a scam.
Well, I've bought a lot of things through the mail that were a scam. Well, not a scam, but this ended up didn't working. I've bought different pills, different stuff you shake on your food. I've bought different vitamins through
devices
the mail.
You blew in.
Devices you blew in. And I love a device. I love my Apple Watch. I love my Apple phone. So any kind of gadget, I was like, I got a Fitbit when Fitbits came out. I'm going to walk 10,000 steps, and that's how I'm going to lose weight. I mean, good cardiovascular benefits, not so much weight loss. And, I tried a lot of things over the years. I've been on Weight Watchers off and on since the 80s. I went to a Weight Watchers camp in Asheville, North Carolina as a teenager. I've done Jenny Craig and Nutrisystem and all kinds of diets, keto, the 17-day diet, the carbohydrate addicts diet, the Hollywood diet, a lot of those.
When you look back then, let's go back. So there's vials, there's needles, comes in a big pack box. I don't remember what it was actually. But it's sitting in our refrigerator. How long do we hold on to it before we...
I think it was about a month because we were about to travel for our other business for traveling to, I think it was to Arizona, we were going to Arizona.
Maybe.
For a conference that we were producing. So, we didn't know if it would make us sick, how we would feel. We didn't want to have this big event that we were putting on and then not be able to function. So we said, let's do it the week we come back from the conference. And that was we started on a Friday. We do our shots on Friday still, and that was Friday, September 29th, 2023.
So, pulled them out. Honestly, emotionally, I was in a place of I was just tired and wanted to not be fat anymore, and was afraid of the future, honestly. But I was skeptical. I mean, I didn't really think it would work. I was like, probably flushing $1,000 down the toilet.
Well, it was expensive. So we each bought a 3-month supply of tirzepatide up front, and it was a lot of dollars, put it on the credit card and kind of hoped for the best. But my friend Elaine had such success with it, and she and I had struggled together for years. I've known her now for about 10 years. We'd gone to Weight Watchers together. We'd tried a couched 5K program together. We'd done all kinds of things to lose weight together. So I'm like, well, if it worked for her, maybe it'll work for me.
Yeah. And so then we did our first shots. Do you remember the experience? I mean, how did it impact you day one? Do you remember?
I can't say that I remember feeling any particular way day one. At that time when we started, in September of 2023, I don't think I'd ever heard the term food noise. That wasn't something that I had heard yet. Although I had it, but I didn't know, I had no name for it. I just knew I wanted to eat all the time. I didn't know why. I tried various strategies to deal with that, through Weight Watchers, through, some behavior modification techniques, delaying eating fruits and vegetables to fill me up so I wouldn't continually want to eat. But I don't remember any specific effects that happened right away. Do you?
Day one, no. I was just kind of like, I didn't do anything. Day two, day three, I think it was the second or third shot before it really sort of kicked in a little bit. Maybe the second shot, I was starting to, not be able to eat as much.
Well, right away we started losing weight. So in the first week, I lost, here comes our cat, Jojo. In the first week, I think I lost 4 pounds, 5 pounds, around that much. And I thought, oh, great. This is like first week at Weight Watchers. I can usually lose 5 pounds in a week. Okay, this might be doing something. All right, we'll keep going. Would you, I mean, that first week
I think I lost like 7 pounds the first week, but I mean, I didn't really feel it, honestly. It was just kind of, it happened. And so, I mean, there must've been some food suppression, that appetite suppression there for sure. But I remember second week really not being able to eat much.
Yeah, we got to a point where we would fix dinner, eat about 5 bites of food, look at each other and be like, I can't eat another bite.
Yeah.
And that was in those first few months. And so, that was November, December, January was our first 3 months. The holidays, I lost weight every week of those 3 months. I was down every single week. And I just remember going through, the first holiday, Halloween, which we're coming up on again now. I've struggled with Halloween candy eating ever since I can remember.
Yeah.
Like, from being a child and being like the only time I was allowed any candy was at Halloween, to being an adult and buying Halloween candy in September for the trick-or-treaters, eating it all, having to replace it. Halloween has always been a big time of when I allowed myself to eat some candy just because it was around all the time. So to be able to not want to go buy the candy, not eat the candy, not gain any weight over Halloween, that was, I mean, one year I signed up, do you remember that year I signed up to run a 10K race on Halloween? On Halloween, because I figured if I could run, what is that, six miles, something like that? If I could run that far, I could eat any candy I want. I only was running that race on Halloween to be able to eat candy. Now, unfortunately, 6 miles, that burns about 600 calories. That's about 6 or 8 pieces of little candy.
Well, so let's go back there. So talk to me, what was the most memorable milestone over that weight loss portion? What was that moment where you look back and go, things changed?
I mean, it had to be between Halloween and Thanksgiving, because I just was not eating the amount of food that I had been eating before, and my cravings kind of were gone. That food noise, although I didn't know the name for it, the food noise, I think, had gone away.
Well, and for me, basically, I cook every day. So I cook every day if it gets cooked. Laraine can cook, but I like to cook. So
he's much better by about 1 million times.
I mean, I can, and typically by 5:30, pre-GLP-1s, she was wanting to know what the plan was for dinner, or it needed to be in front of her very quickly.
I needed to know when I was going to be able to eat dinner.
Or she got
very important to me.
Pretty hangry. Well, it wasn't pretty. So I think I came downstairs, and we work out of our home, and my office is upstairs. I came downstairs, I don't know, a month in, 3-4 weeks in. And she said, well, what's for dinner? And I said, I don't know. I haven't honestly thought about it. And that's when I knew the food noise was gone, because I hadn't. It didn't even.
Or it was 5:30 and I wasn't screaming at you for dinner.
Yeah, I think for both of us.
And you weren't screaming with hunger. And I'm like, well, I guess we should think about what's for dinner. I don't know. It just suddenly wasn't that important as it had been before.
So we've done this all along together, which is certainly the first time we've done anything like this together. How do you think that's been?
I mean, I've tried to get you to do diets with me in the past. I think you went to Weight Watchers with me maybe one time, like right after we got married 22 years ago, or maybe when we were engaged and getting ready I can't remember exactly when. And you went one time and said, yeah, this is not for me. It's definitely been better. I know there's been times when I've done very specific diets, like I had to eat very specific foods that maybe you weren't,
your cabbage soup diet or whatever. Yeah, I don't do that stuff.
or eat. So if you're eating something different than what I'm eating, that was hard for me to not, stick to my plan if I saw you eating something else, or if you were making cinnamon rolls on a weekend or something, like, well, there goes my weekend eating. So it's definitely been easier to, both of us be on this plan at the same time.
So what was the hardest part of starting?
I think just getting over the fear of the shot. I mean, that was the initial fear for me. What about for you?
It was the money.
The money.
Honestly, because it's...
How much is this going to cost?
It's how much is this going to cost? Am I flushing money down the toilet?
Right.
And there's... For me, it's that sort of dad guilt of I shouldn't be spending money on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've got kids, I've got a mortgage, I've got all these other things that we need to spend money on. I don't need to spend money on me. So that was a big hurdle. That was just, is it worth it? Right. Which absolutely it was. So looking back, what surprised you the most about the weight loss portion of it?
I think how relatively quickly the weight came off and kept coming off. So I had about we started in September, the end of September. By May, I was pretty much at my goal weight, or my first goal weight, and I consistently lost weight every week from that September start date through May. I didn't plateau. I didn't gain. I just lost consistently all the way through. And I'd never been on any plan that gave me those kind of results before, because usually, you lose weight for the first month, 6 weeks, 2 months, and then, your resolve fades, or, you get tired of eating the same old chicken and broccoli or whatever you're eating, and, you backslide a little bit. But with these GLP-1s, it just consistently decreased my appetite, took the food noise out of my brain, and it was just so much easier to make better choices, to make healthier choices, and to eat less.
And for me, a similar thing, but basically when I had tried to lose weight, it was that muscling it through. It's that I can just hold my breath long enough, as they say, and and then sooner or later you have to come up for air, and it just
right.
And although people like to say this is work, and it is absolutely work, and there's a lot that goes into it, to be quite frank, it wasn't hard work, and it was work that worked.
Yeah, it wasn't hard at all. I've been on much stricter diet plans. I've been on 800 calorie a day diet plans at diet centers, and I did Saxenda years ago at a doctor's office. That didn't really pan out for me.
Yeah.
It was just, and I think in that time, in that first initial 6 months, that Oprah special came out.
Oh yeah.
The Oprah special, The State of Weight, came out, I think, in March, and that special was the first time I'd ever heard the term food noise. And she had doctor from Harvard on there.
Dr. Fatima Stanford Cody.
Yeah.
If you're watching, Dr. Cody, we would love to interview you.
Yeah, and that was the first time I'd heard the term food noise. That was the first time I'd ever heard someone say that obesity is a disease and it's not your fault. Here's a doctor on Oprah saying this to me. It was just like, what do you mean? Like, it's not my fault that I wanted to eat all the time? There's something called food noise. It wasn't a matter of willpower or moral.
You're not a terrible person because you're fat.
Right. Like, oh my gosh, like why did I never know this before? And I think, Oprah was having that same reaction too. I'm like, if Oprah didn't know it, well, how is that message supposed to get to, somebody in the suburbs of North Carolina? So, and I think after we saw that special, we kind of realized we're having great success with this. Other people have had great success with this, and we need to tell people about this.
It's a bit of revisionist history. I think I had already been planning for several weeks and built out a whole business plan and started naming and doing all these things. And you were like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't.
We did some YouTube videos for our other business. And so we had done some online conferences back in 2020 when we had to move our in-person conferences to online. So we have a lot of equipment already in our home studio. So, Christopher already had the knowledge of how to produce videos for YouTube and what was required. And so, what did you think about that?
It was my idea. So.
All his ideas, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, but it was, and
No, it was, because I was like, well, I don't know if I want to talk about my weight. And then I was like, you know what? I have been trying to lose weight literally my whole life. I remember, I can give you stories from when I was 6 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. And I've been trying to lose weight literally my whole life. I've got I'm 56 years old. I've got a lifetime of stories to tell. And this is what works. People need to know about it. So,
well, but for me, even the idea of the channel, the idea that we would go on YouTube and talk about it, I certainly didn't know we would do it every day at that point, but say our weights out loud to this black box, these strangers out here we've never met. Will anybody come? I had no idea. But even the idea of that
a little overwhelming.
was mind-blowing to me because the medicine had worked so compellingly well, and I had lost enough weight at that time, and it was March, so I'd have to go back and look at my scale app, but I don't know, 50 pounds down maybe? I don't remember exactly how much, but it had worked. And I was willing to tell people about it. So that was there was a couple of different aha moments over the last 2 years. But that moment when we said, we need to tell people about this, just kind of mind blowing, honestly. And when you talk about the small victories, so, whether you call it a non-scale victory or whatever the YouTube channel is certainly for me one of those non-scale victories because we started doing it and people started watching almost immediately. I mean, it was 10 people, 100 people.
My mom, some friends. Yeah.
But we pretty quickly had 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 subscribers, and it was this bigger community that was building that you just kind of look at it and go, wow. And then you layer on those personal non-scale victories, walking into Old Navy and putting on a medium size shirt when I had started at a 2XL, or the seatbelt on the airplane. I mean, there's just so many of those moments along the way.
Being able to cross my legs, like, what? Things you don't even really think about and then suddenly are not a problem at all. Yeah, for sure.
So how long did it take you to get from start to 50 pounds down?
I mean, I don't have my
ballpark.
It took about a school year. So from September to May, I have a picture of us moving our daughter into college, and then I'm wearing the same outfit to move her out of college at the end of the school year. And it's just such a dramatic difference, what those 50 pounds made. I mean, I went from being a size 12, 14 and an extra large top to being a size 4 or 6 and a size small top. And I'd never been any smaller than a 12 in my adult life. So that was really exciting and new.
And for me, I'd have to go back and look, but it was, I think, to get the 100 pounds down, it was 15, 16 months, something like that. Somebody will correct me out there that's watching, but it was in that ballpark. It was just kind of mind-boggling when you look at the challenges along the way, whether it be physical or mental or side effects. What were the challenges that you had?
In those first 6 months, I would say fatigue was hard to deal with at times. I mean, I remember some days taking a shower in the morning to get dressed and then just being exhausted and be like, I gotta sit down for a minute. Or in the afternoon, just getting really, really tired and having to maybe, take a nap for a quick nap. And I think that stemmed from possibly not eating enough, which, is a pitfall a lot of people fall into in the beginning. And, and also constipation. So I think I've struggled with constipation my whole life. I just never thought about it that way. I never thought about managing it. It just that's just how my body worked. So now I'm much more conscious of what I need to be, better functioning, I guess, for lack of a better term. I take fiber gummies daily. I have some remedies for constipation in my bathroom cabinet if I need them. And I have a much more focused eye to overall nutrition, not just, well, what can I cut out to lose weight? A lot of times when we lose weight, we'll cut out carbs, we'll cut out fruit, we'll cut out, sugar or, all the things. So, now I'm more focused on, well, what do I need to feel good and be healthy as a 56-year-old woman who exercises 3 to 5 times a week? I need calories. I need some carbs. So
tell me, because you have had diet mentality virtually your whole life.
Yes.
So we started a medical program with a prescription drug. Talk to me about the mind shift from dieting to treating the disease.
I mean, that shift took a long time. It might be still something that I have to think twice about. These GLP-1 drugs are a medical treatment for the disease of obesity. And I'd asked my doctor in the past for, is there anything you can prescribe me? And my doctor said, well, you just need to diet and exercise. I went to a different doctor, a nurse practitioner, and this was probably about 3 years ago. She prescribed me phentermine, and she said, but you can only take it for 3 months. Well, why is that? Well, it's just not good for you to take it beyond that. So I took it. I remember taking that, and it was like, it's an amphetamine, right? It's like speed. I was like zipping around the house. I'm like, I don't like this feeling. This is not good. That had been my only, well,
you tried Saxenda
I did try
too.
Saxenda. This was probably 2015, maybe I tried Saxenda because I, had some friends who tried it. I guess I possibly didn't stick with it long enough, but I think I lost 15, 20 pounds and then kind of just gave up. So now what I know about GLP-1s is, it's a medical treatment for the disease of obesity, which I have. Obesity is a chronic progressive disease, and I'm not on a diet. I don't have to eat any certain way. I do want to pick healthy whole foods that nourish my body, but I'm not limiting myself to 1 slice of toast with 5 ounces of tuna and cottage cheese. There's no prescribed meal plan like that. So it's not, I have to separate that in my mind. This is not a diet plan. This is a medical treatment, and this is, for me, going to be a lifelong treatment.
I think what's interesting is we're not punishing ourselves or denying ourselves anything. It's not, I can't have that.
Right.
It's honestly, I can have anything I want. Medicine's going to make me eat a lot less typically, and some things I probably don't want because of the medicine, but I don't ever feel like I just can't have Oreos. I miss them so badly, I just can't have them. It's not if I want an Oreo, I can have an Oreo.
Yeah, and it's the difference now at being able to stop at a portion size, right? It's being able to eat 2 Oreos and be like, oh, those were good, and that was kind of sweet, and yeah, I'm satisfied with 2 Oreos. Whereas before, I could eat the whole row of Oreos and still not be particularly satisfied. So,
well, it's a shift in how we eat too. So, I don't know that we ever ate terribly, but we certainly ate more than we should.
I think for me, it was always a volume.
Yeah, it was a volume thing. And I think we're making better choices now. I think we're certainly focusing on protein and the meats first, and then the vegetables. I think that our eating has evolved to more sustainable levels, to healthier nutrition, honestly, which is a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, I'm still, trying to grapple with adding calories back in for maintenance and what that looks like. But that's a today problem, not a starting out problem.
Let's talk about, so first of all, let's talk about you getting to your goal weight before we jump into maintenance. So do you remember the day you got to your goal weight?
I do have it written down.
I don't need a specific date, just how did you feel?
Well, my first goal weight was 156 pounds because that had been my goal weight at Weight Watchers. And I still went to Weight Watchers all during that first year, really. So I hit my goal at Weight Watchers, and I'd never gotten to my goal weight at Weight Watchers.
The Weight Watchers had nothing to do with this goal. You just happened to be at Weight Watchers.
I set that goal based on the Weight Watchers height and weight charts. I don't know. It's there's lots of charts out there. You can work with your doctor to set your goal weight. This is just how I happened to have picked mine. And I hit that goal weight, which was 156, and I was just ecstatic. And I remember I was on a 12.5 milligram dose of tirzepatide, which I had to take across 2 syringes, 2 shots.
Nobody should have to do that now.
I did not like, and I don't think anybody does that anymore, but that was just how this particular pharmacy mixed it up. So I was eager to drop down my dose because I didn't want to take 2 shots. So I did quickly drop down my dose to 10 milligrams, and I continued to lose about a half a pound a week.
Let's focus on that day, though, because I'm interested, because this is a day that you have been thinking about for your life, basically.
Yeah.
Right? For most of your life. It's the birth of your children, hopefully you're married to me, not that first guy, but hopefully to me, and getting to your goal.
It was.
So did skies part? I mean, was it the most wonderful, fabulous thing?
Yeah.
How did it change your life?
Just knowing it was possible.
For me, I think it's interesting because I set a goal weight of just under, so I was 286.4 when I started, and I set a goal weight of just under 200 pounds at 190, basically to be under 200 pounds. And honestly, when I set that goal weight, and I did it with my doctor, I kind of thought it was like saying I'm going to win the lottery. It wasn't.
Right. And
I didn't really believe it would ever happen.
Number. Yeah.
So really, I got to 199 point something, which I now know is Wonderland. And honestly, that was cooler than my goal weight. Getting under 200 was actually 200. Cooler than my goal weight.
A lot of people say that. I mean, when you see that first number on the scale as a 1 instead of a 2, a lot
but
of
it was because it just seemed like that was impossible.
Right.
So getting under 200, also a big deal. But, well, I mean, under those first 40 pounds also, but under that 200
under
mark
that
was.
200 mark.
And then the 190 was, for me, was sort of anticlimactic.
Right, because you really just wanted to be under 200, and anything else was a bonus kind of thing.
Did that number on the scale change my life? No, it didn't. It didn't. The weight loss certainly has, but it's a function of, I was so big that going up and down steps was rough, that sleeping was difficult, that my blood pressure was high, that my cholesterol was high, and all that changed. But it wasn't really a function of what the scale said. That didn't magically change things for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my highest weight ever that I recorded was around 230 pounds. I remember that was my weight after the birth of one of my children. And I remember seeing that number and being like, I'll never get to 180, 170, 156. And my goal has always been 156 through my whole adult life. And I just remember thinking, that's just so far away. I'll never be able to maybe I can get under 200. And I did. I battled it kind of, with Weight Watchers. And that my weight always hovered around, probably about 185 was kind of like an average weight for me. Sometimes I'd gain 20 pounds or lose 20 pounds, but I really never got under that 185 mark. So once I started seeing numbers on the scale I had never really seen as an adult, that's when it was like magical. I mean, it's like, what is happening? Where now I'm 175, 170, 165, 160, in the 150s. That was just kind of mind blowing.
So how long have you been in maintenance now?
Since it was a year in, I guess, June. Now it's October, so a year and 3 or 4 months.
And I couldn't tell you exactly.
Yeah.
6 months maybe, is that right?
Yeah,
Maybe
sounds about
6
right.
months. What was the biggest, well, first of all, you don't know what maintenance is. Maintenance is that point when you hit your goal weight, or that, I like to call it center weight. I made that up. She doesn't like it, but I made that up.
No.
And then the rest of your life is around staying within a healthy range of that, maintaining that, with the understanding that our bodies are constantly changing and you're not going to stay on one specific number. So it again is a continuing journey, adventure as we like to call it. What was that shift like though, from losing weight to maintaining weight?
It was a whole new area that I had never ventured into before. I'd never tried to maintain my weight. I had always been trying to lose weight. That was kind of my life's goal, was to lose weight. So once I hit maintenance, I basically just kept doing what I was doing. I mean, I did drop down my dose because, as I told you, I wanted to just take one shot. And as I dropped down my dose, I still kept losing a little bit of weight every week. And I got down to 150. And then I thought, well, let me see if I can get to 143, and that's an even 50 pounds. And I got to 143, and I thought, okay, 143 is going to be, kind of my goal where I want to hang out. And I kept dropping down my dose. I still kept losing weight. At some point we got to, this was May of this past year, and we had a very busy time with our other business and travel and conferences and some things that we were doing. And through the course of May and June, I kind of bobbled around with my weight a little bit. And but I was still really around 143. So plus or minus probably 5 pounds off of 143 is where I've kind of landed. So I really like to be 143 or less. I don't really like to be over 143. So if the scale starts creeping up, I really want to start taking a closer look at what exactly am I eating, and have I started eating too much? Do I need to change my dose? Do I, what's really going on here? Any emotional eating, or what, it's just kind of a check-in with myself.
For me, maintenance, so I am on a 15 milligram dose of tirzepatide, and I've done tirzepatide, Zepbound and Mounjaro all along the way for various reasons. And there's videos out there about that. But I've stayed. I mean, and some of the Lilly direction, and some of the doctors we've talked to have said, hey, you can stay on the highest dose that you ended on, as long as you're not continuing to lose weight. So I've stayed on 15 milligram doses, and it's worked well for me. Definitely had to add calories in. So over the course of the last 2 years, the medicine still works, and people ask all the time, absolutely, the medicine still works.
Yeah, it does.
It does not work exactly the same way as it did the first 3 or 4 months.
No.
Where, I think month 3 and 4, if you weren't careful, it just completely shut down all eating. You had to almost force yourself to eat. Now, I think you like to say it's guardrails, right? It's keeping you in check. I could eat more if I really wanted to, but fortunately it helps keep you in check.
Yeah, and I do now, a year into maintenance plus, I do get hungry for meals. And I think that's important to let people know, is hunger, hunger was always my enemy before. I didn't want to be hungry. I would do anything to avoid being hungry, whether that meant, eating more vegetables or finding higher volume filling foods, as Weight Watchers like to call them. But I hated to be hungry, and I was hungry a lot as, just growing up and just being an adult. I always just kind of felt hungry all the time. And a lot of it was food noise, but some of it was actual physical hunger. So now when I feel those signals in my body of physical hunger, I don't have the food noise anymore, but the physical hunger, it, where before it would cause me to be upset or freak out, and I'm not doing a good job with my diet because I'm hungry. Now it's more, oh, it's time to eat. My body's giving me the signal that I need to eat nutritious food to fuel my body. And that's a whole nother mindset. So I do get hungry for lunch. I'm sometimes hungry for breakfast. I'm usually hungry for dinner, but I'm not desperate for food unless it gets maybe 2 or 3 hours past the usual meal time, and then I might get a little hangry.
Yes, you might.
But I like the hunger as a reminder that I do need to eat. I think a lot of people put themselves on a dose of this medication to where they never feel hungry and therefore aren't eating enough.
And there still is the biological imperative to survive.
Right. Your body is very good at keeping you alive. And if you're not getting nutrition, your body takes it from other places, takes it out of your bones, takes it out of your muscle, takes it out of your fat. And you don't necessarily get to choose where it takes it out of. So, that's where, people might lose muscle because they're not eating enough protein, they're not eating enough calories to fuel their body. Your body will keep you alive. Your body will stop losing weight if it feels like it's starving to death. So I think a lot of people get to a plateau where that's happening, and it's important to really look at what you're eating because it's all tied to food. And it's not the carbs, it's not the sugar, it's the quantity of the food that you are eating is driving your weight loss. You can't exercise it off, or I would have exercised it off between my 5Ks, 10Ks, my 2 half marathons, and my 2 sprint triathlons. I could not outrun my fork, basically.
So maintenance. It's a bizarre world. It never stops, right? We have to eat.
This is a lifelong battle. So this is going to be obesity is a disease. It doesn't just go away. We're not magically cured. It's not a cure for obesity. It's a treatment for obesity. So I will continue to treat my disease of obesity as I have had a lifelong struggle. So, and other people that may not be their situation. So, that's where you kind of work with your doctor to see, what your maintenance journey might look like.
If you could give yourself one piece of advice when we were first starting, what would the piece of advice be?
Just stay with it. A lot of people maybe have stomach upset or nausea or one of these, now to me, seemingly minor symptoms and discontinue use. I had a friend say to me, I was on Ozempic, but I really like to have a glass of wine with my friends, and I really like to go out to nice restaurants with my husband, and that medicine took all the joy out of those activities. And, the wine drinking made me sick and the overeating made me sick, and I didn't like the way that felt. And, that's a shame because you don't feel like that down the road. Like I absolutely limit alcohol in the beginning because I did get very sick. It just doesn't jive. Now 2 years later, I can have the occasional drink or glass of wine, but something just has turned off in my brain about wanting a glass of wine, which honestly is fine. People think that it's going to be that way forever, and for me, it was not.
Well, for me, really the last 56 years of my life, food has been a defining factor to the point where I almost went to cooking school at one point.
Right. When we met, you had just won a
I know very little about sports, but if you ask me about any chef
in
the world, I probably know them. And Food Network and Cooking Channel, and we would travel based on food and all of that. Certainly the first, 3 or 4 months, that kind of shut all that down. And there was a bit of a loss there. But after that, I still love food. I still watch Cooking Network, or, Food Channel, all those things. I
don't like to watch cooking shows. They always just make me want to eat food.
So that relationship has evolved to a point of it's a nice hobby now, not a compulsion or
Not a compulsion.
something that's driving me. I mean, for me, that piece of advice that I would give myself, there's two pieces. It's, first of all, that first time when I got that prescription for Ozempic, just fill it. Just do it. It's expensive, but it's worth it.
Wow.
I would just start sooner. And then second, I didn't put 100 pounds on overnight. It didn't happen. It took me a long time. And the hardest thing to say is to be patient, but it's the reality of these medications is they're recommended. The average weight loss is between 0.5 and 2 pounds per week. It's the average weight loss. Some weeks maybe more, some weeks maybe less, some weeks maybe nothing. Some weeks you might gain, but if you look at that over time, the average weight loss. So having the patience to see that this is a long-term journey and that one day on the one scale does not define it is hard. And you can't see it when you start, right? Because particularly for us, I mean, I lost weight right out of the gate, but it didn't happen like that. I wasn't losing big numbers every day or anything. So that patience, game changer.
I lost an average of 1.58 pounds per week to lose my 50 pounds. 1.58, that's not a lot. And, I always had it in my mind from years at Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers always says the average weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week. So I knew that was a safe level of weight loss. Nobody ever wants to lose just that amount. Everybody wants to lose more and faster. But the average weight loss on GLP-1s, as Christopher said, is 0.5 pound to 2 pounds a week. And if you have an additional chronic disease like type 2 diabetes, it might be slower than that.
So I think the first 3 or 4 months, I think I was losing almost 5 pounds a week. I was going pretty fast. Zoom out to the, 15 months later when I'm hitting my 100 pounds down and I'm like at 1.3 on average. 1.3316 or some number. Somebody can correct me. I said it a couple of weeks ago when I did the math. So that average, that high number, man, if you think you're going to do that for the rest, it's probably not going to be that.
Well, a lot of people report those first few months, your body's getting rid of a lot of inflammation. And for me, I was always like, what do you mean inflammation? Like, where do I have inflammation? I had some joint pain. I had some rosacea that had been diagnosed. Well, that just kind of cleared up. My joint pain seemed to get better. So I didn't really have a lot of things to point toward that. And I know every time you start a weight loss program, a lot of it will be water weight. So I did know that was going on. But did you notice any inflammation? Did you have any inflammation you thought you got rid of?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm not even really sure I know what I was looking at there.
Yeah.
I can tell you I've had a bad knee since I was 6. So I had a surgery on my knee when I was 6 because of a large cyst, about a 6-ounce cyst. So my knee had always hurt, and I always thought a good portion of that was inflammation, and there were stitches left in for many, many years and things. So that really within the first few months started to feel a lot better. Now, is that a function of the drug, or is that a function of the weight loss, or is it both? Doesn't really matter. My knee really doesn't have pain at this point unless I'm overstressing it and doing a lot of things. So it's on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't hurt. It used to just hurt sitting down.
Oh. I remember when it would be about to rain, your knee would hurt.
Yeah, and I still get a little bit of the weather-related stuff, but it doesn't really do it too much to me anymore. So that one piece of advice, I have 2, of course. Have you learned anything new about this skinnier body that you didn't know 50 pounds ago?
I mean, I think about, I've always exercised. I've always worked out my whole life in an attempt to lose weight for no other reason. Like, I never really enjoyed exercise or anything. And there were some like stretches, some yoga poses, some moves in my bar ballet class that I just physically could not do at 200 pounds, at 193 pounds. And now at 143 pounds, I can reach my hands behind my back and stretch my arms. I can do a runner's stretch where I reach around and grab my leg and pull it up. I can do a plank and not have my stomach hanging close to the ground. I can do, what do you call them, butt kicks, or there's a move that we do in our step aerobics class where you try to kick your butt. I can never kick my own butt. Now I can. You know what I mean? Like, I never really knew what I was trying to do. I never really got it. So, and now I never really could cross my legs. Now it's very easy to cross my legs, sitting more comfortably in an airplane seat. Like, all these things that maybe you didn't really think about, you just went through these motions and didn't really understand until the weight loss happened.
And for me, sleeping changed so much because it was not only
Right.
and I had undiagnosed sleep apnea, I'm pretty sure, but I weighed enough, and for those of you out there, I know you can feel this, that and I carried all my weight here,
Yeah.
right? So that I would roll over and my stomach had like its own motion, like it would,
Right.
it
led the roll.
It led the roll, and getting down was it just felt so much better.
And we haven't talked about this before, but we went from a queen size bed to a king size bed.
Oh, we did.
I mean, we've been married for 22 years. We probably got the king size bed, 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It was around COVID.
Mm-hmm.
At the peak of both of our weights, because he wasn't sleeping very well. I felt like I didn't have enough space. I was taking up space. He was taking up space. And I had been through, 2 pregnancies with this man in a queen size bed and been fine. And now it was just like there was no space for anyone. So we went to a king size bed about 5 years ago.
And now I lose you in the king size bed. I'm like, where is she over there?
And I haven't really thought about that. I just kind of thought about that. But you're sleeping so much better now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he had sleep apnea that was never diagnosed. And that has completely, I would have to be like, I don't think he's breathing over here. Like, can you please wake up? Or he would be snoring so loud that it would wake me up. And I would be like, stop snoring, roll over. So we certainly don't have that problem anymore. Still have a king size bed, however.
Well, and beds, she doesn't like to talk about it, but I'll tell you, 150 pounds between the two of us has been a learning curve
in the same place.
on intimacy. Because we have always been affectionate and had a good marriage, but the bodies are so different.
Things are in different places.
It's all a little different. I think it's all better. I think it's all very good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely been a challenge at times, and practice makes perfect, they say.
That's enough.
I don't know that we've gotten perfect yet, but we're trying. All right, so what's the biggest myth or misconception about GLP-1s that your personal experience has disproved?
It's cheating, right?
Mm-hmm. People
say, oh, you're taking a GLP-1 drug, you're taking one of those weight loss shots, you're taking one of those weight loss drugs, you're cheating. I just did it with good old-fashioned diet and exercise. Well, that's great for you. That didn't work for me, right? And it's funny because, I go to this gym near our house, and I've been going there for about 3 years. So I went there for a year before I started the tirzepatide. So I got to know people in the classes. I got to know people at the gym. And then suddenly they saw me melting away, really. They saw me losing weight, and people just started asking me, what are you doing? And at first I didn't really want to tell them. I'm like, well, you see me here every day. I go to Weight Watchers. And then as I really, dropped 5 sizes, I just said, you know what, hell with it. People want to ask, I'm going to tell them. And I started saying, well, you see me here 3 to 5 times a week. I go to Weight Watchers weekly and try to follow their eating plan. And I'm taking a GLP-1 weight loss medication. I'm taking the weight loss shot. And so a lot of the women that I worked out with had questions about that. And a couple of ladies at the gym, once I said it, they said, oh, I'm on that too. One of the older ladies, my friend Sandy, she said, I'm going to go ask my doctor about it. And she went through the whole phentermine thing and didn't like it. Ended up doing some glutide at a med spa locally. And I said, Sandy, you're paying way too much. You need to, do this and get your tirzepatide. And so now that's what she does. And she's lost, I think, 50 pounds. I like the fact, and that's about the time we started the YouTube channels when I told Sandy about it. And I've told lots of my friends about it. And we started a YouTube about it. The whole you're cheating thing is, I don't put up with that. It's not, it doesn't bother me if people want to say that. And people at the gym have said to me, when I've told them I'm on a weight loss medication, and I had this one lady who really just kind of looked at me differently after I told her that. Fine by me. People are going to do what they want to do. It's not, up to me what other people think of me. What does that comedian say? Or what is people's opinion of me or none of my business? So anyway, yeah, the whole you're cheating thing. I just don't put up with it.
So my experience with these medications, and the most common question I get is not about cheating, but it's about side effects. And everybody has heard everything, and they are convinced that you're going to get gastroparesis, that you're going to get osteopenia, that you're going to lose all your muscle, you're going to sarcopenia, you're going to get all these things. And I'll tell you, although I have had side effects, and I do not want to downplay side effects at all, please talk to your doctor. There are definite side effects depending on your history.
Right.
I have personally not experienced anything so bad that I, for one moment, ever stopped doing this.
My weight loss for.
So I've had very, very minor constipation. I've never taken a pill or a remedy or anything else like that. Occasionally I'll eat a little more fiber and some vegetables, but that's it. I've had allodynia a little bit, so a little bit of skin sensitivity on the skin. Enough that there are some shirts that I have to change. I put them on occasionally because my skin's too sensitive. Some fatigue, but everything was manageable. There was nothing that I could not handle. Mm-hmm. So if people are telling you it's the end of the world, it's going to make you blind, give you cancer, do all those things.
Lose all your hair.
Lose all your hair, all that stuff. I will tell you, please talk to your doctor and understand what the actual risks are and manage all those things appropriately, because I haven't personally had that experience. I just haven't.
Yeah, in addition to the side effects question, I guess another thing that people say is, do you have to do this for the rest of your life?
Well, that's the next question.
Right.
So what do you think? Are we on these things for life?
I feel that I am going to be on GLP-1 for the rest of my life, and hopefully I have a nice, long, healthy, happy life. And who knows what's going to happen when I'm 70, when I'm 80, when I'm 90 years old. I don't, other medications are being developed. There might be something that comes out that's better. I don't know. But I know what the first 56 years of my life looked like without the GLP-1 medication and how hard I struggled. This is a cure, this is not a cure. This is a treatment. So I believe, for me personally, I will stay on the tirzepatide. So I take my weekly shot now, and that works for me. Other people, if other people may be able to come off of the medication, and people want to know that all the time. Well, I don't want to start because I don't want to have to take it forever. Do you want the weight loss, or do you want, and so many benefits come with weight loss. Like, you got off your blood pressure medicine, mm-hmm. your high cholesterol medicine, your sleep apnea stopped. For me, I never had any comorbidities, but, being 50 pounds or more overweight as we age just takes a toll on your joints. You increase your risk for cancer. It wasn't without risks. Being overweight has risks that come with it,
The forever question for me is interesting because, I don't know, I always looked at every diet you were on with that same question. Really, you're going to eat the cabbage diet for the rest of your life?
Well, the cabbage soup diet, my mom and my sister and I did that when we were in high school. I could lose 10 pounds in a week.
Right. But how are you going to sustain that? So none of those things to me were ever sustainable. So it's the same question.
Right.
Because basically the obesity is never cured, right?
Right. So now this has become a lifestyle, right, of taking the weekly medication, making better food choices, good food choices, and for me, exercise. I never really enjoyed exercise. There's been exercises I like better than others, but some of these exercises now I find I'm very good at, where I was not good at them 50 pounds heavier. So I get more enjoyment out of them now than maybe ever before, especially in my aerobics classes. I've also gotten stronger. This is the strongest I've ever been. Before COVID, I went to a kind of a CrossFit type gym where we lifted some really heavy weights. So I'm not quite up at that speed, but I do some weights in my group exercise classes. So I feel really good. At 56, I feel as good as I've ever felt, I'd say, in my adult life.
Oh, me too. So I do believe that we will be on some sort of medical treatment for the disease of obesity indefinitely. Now, I don't know that I believe it's necessarily a GLP-1. It might be whatever the next medication is that comes along. And we do the news every week, so
we know new things.
There's surgical
coming.
Interventions coming along. Mm-hmm. There's genetic things that they're talking about. There's all kinds of procedures coming along. I don't know that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it'll look exactly as the same. In fact, I don't believe it will.
Well,
but I think that we will need help.
Come down.
Yeah.
Because really.
Prices will absolutely come down.
If your insurance doesn't cover these medications, they're expensive. There's no two ways about it. And, if you've got several family members that are on these medications, at some point now we're a couple of years into this and we're like, we've made quite an investment in ourselves. And of course it's worth it, but it's still an expense. So I just don't.
I mean, that's the challenge of the forever conversation, right? So the rest of your life, I don't believe for even the briefest moment that 3 years from now, 5 years from now, even a year from now, people will still be paying as much as $1,000 a month for this. And I know you go, most people aren't paying that. There are still people out there paying it.
There are people paying $1,000
and there's certainly many people paying $499 a month.
Yes.
I think as new drugs get on the market, as insurance expands, as there's more competition, the price is going to inevitably come down, and there will be. Yeah. We will look back 5 years from now, and this will be the dark ages of GLP-1s and obesity management. It'll be like Model Ts, and we'll all be driving, sports cars.
I mean, it's really just getting started. So I think we don't really, we talk to a lot of people. We have 28,000 subscribers, and we interview people every week. I don't know that we've talked to anyone who's been on this journey longer than 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Ozempic has been around for 20 years, but people that have been taking this for weight loss, hasn't been that long. So, we're really just getting started, and with such a high percentage of America having overweight or obesity, I think it was 74% of America is overweight or obese. So the market is huge. There's a lot of people who need these medications and could greatly benefit from these medications. So, at some point it's public health, right?
Oh, I believe that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This whole YouTube channel, I mean, what role has this community played in all of this?
We have really great subscribers. If you watch this far, please hit the subscribe button. We've just met such a wide variety of people that we never would have met otherwise. And the thing that we have in common is GLP-1 medication and weight loss, right? So as we talk to people in interviews every week, as we did the Downsize Cruise in June of 2024. We're going to have another one June 2025. We just meet people from all walks of life that are all doing this journey a little differently. And that's been really interesting to see how everyone's journey is a little different. And that's why it's so important to figure out your body and what works the best for you, because, you know, I hate cottage cheese. You might love cottage cheese. So it's just kind of that simple as finding out what works for you.
I mean, to me, this community, and we saw it so much on the cruise, there's 50 some odd people there from 10 or 12 states, as far away as California and Seattle,
Ohio,
different religions from
different
from their 20s, right, from their 20s to their 70s,
60s, yeah, 70s,
different politics, but we all had this one thing in common, and we could all sit and have dinner and talk. There was a lot of poop talk, but it was all civilized.
Right.
It was all supportive.
Right.
It was the way.
It's a very supportive community.
It was the way things should be, and I have appreciated being supported by this community and being able to support the community. So I think it's been exciting, and it's certainly nothing that I ever imagined. You know, I still remember we did the first live, and you were like, nobody's going to come.
Well, and yeah, when we did our first news. You know, we do a weekly new GLP-1 news, and I said, nobody cares about the news, Christopher. Nobody's going to watch the news. I just want to talk about my feelings and my weight loss and, you know, what I'm eating and doing, and kept doing the news. People love the news. You know, people like you, well, apparently everyone loves the news but me. And, you know, that's fine. So and a lot of people have told us, you know, you're my trusted news source for GLP-1 information. And we present the news in a very, I feel, clear and straightforward manner where we're not trying to sensationalize anything, you know, and we have opinions about the news and sometimes we share those. And I think that's what makes it unique. I'm glad that we have gotten to a place where people come to trust our channel as their GLP-1 news source.
So if you imagine 5 years from now, what does it look like?
Oh, I want our own TV show.
What is your health? What does your weight look like?
Oh, I don't know. I'm probably the same as I am now. I don't see myself really losing any more weight. Although, you know, I'm always open to maybe another 5 pounds wouldn't hurt me, but that's just my diet mentality brain kicking in. I think our life looks very much the same. We'll be in maintenance. We'll still be doing the things. We'll be doing this YouTube channel. Maybe we'll be doing something like have our own TV show. You know, when we first started, I said, oh, wouldn't it be great if we had, you know, enough subscribers that we could, you know, make a little bit of money on the channel and maybe
pay for our medicine.
That was the first goal. And, you know, I didn't even think that was achievable, and that was quickly achievable. So I think there's so many people coming to this space at YouTube looking for GLP-1 help because maybe their physician said, here's your prescription, see you in 6 months, or, you know, whatever. People are looking for information on how they should do it, how other people are doing it, what they can expect, you know, managing their expectations. And it's just, I think it's great that we have established a place where people can come and share their stories and talk to others on this journey and hear what we have to say in terms of news and what's going on with us every week.
I mean, to me, 5 years from now, you know, it's interesting because 2 years ago, I never imagined I'd be 100 pounds down. That wasn't even a thing. So 5 years from now, I'd like to absolutely be within a few pounds of where I am right now. So that's pretty much just staying constant. But, you know, staying healthy and active and doing the things we want to do and going on cruises and meeting so many people. Honestly, I'd like to do meetups around the world.
I mean,
I'd like to.
When Christopher first suggested doing meetups, I was really hesitant because, I don't know, fear of the unknown. Like, are people going to look at me and ask me questions and like be like, "What the hell are you doing?" I don't know. Just kind of maybe that I had that maybe imposter syndrome kind of feeling. But as we have done meetups and met people from all over the world that have said, "I'm watching your channel. I watch you every day." It just kind of blows my mind. And so it's very gratifying to me to meet people in person that we have personally helped on their weight loss journey. And if that's you, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching. And people tell me, when they meet us, they know the sound of our voice. They know all my stories. They know everything about us. And, but I don't know everything about you. So I've really enjoyed getting to know the people on this journey along with us.
So we're almost done. So I have one more question. Your goal for 50 years, I guess, was to lose weight.
Yes.
What's your goal now?
What's my goal now? To not gain it all back. I mean, really, and I've talked to a couple other GLP-1 people on this topic, and I think that's always going to be in the back of my mind, be a fear. If we travel and my weight goes up a couple pounds and that scares me, it's all I'm done. I might as well give up. It's come back every single other time I've tried to lose weight. What makes this time any different? Well, the difference this time is the medication, right? I never had the medication before. So, I know what to do. I've always known what I was supposed to eat. I just ate more than what I was supposed to eat. I've always known all the things I was supposed to do. I just didn't do them because of, I guess, the disease of obesity. So now I'm kind of managing that disease of obesity. And, I just feel like, I don't feel like this is ever going to be like on autopilot easy. It's never going to be
it's
like
life. Life doesn't magically.
No, because things happen, right? Like, you have these life events and you're going to get through them the best that you can. And so I think it's just, as we've made this our lifestyle and incorporated all these changes, we're going to keep going with what we've incorporated. If you want to have more muscle, you work out. If you stop working out, your muscle decreases. I'm going to continue to do all the things, and it's just kind of a lifestyle.
And I don't know, for me, 5 years from now, whatever the future, the goals, it's not about weight. I mean, I now believe, and I waver on it occasionally, but I now believe with the help of these medications and the habits that we've learned that we can maintain the weight. I do believe that. I don't believe I'm ever going back.
Well, I've gotten rid of all my old clothes, so.
But what that does is
it took a long time for me to do that, though.
It takes that burden and that fear of immediate death off of the table for me.
Well.
So I'm not afraid that I'm going to die before
I
see my girls married.
Right. For you, it was always more of a fear of an early. I mean, your mom died young, really. Mm-hmm. From, and I'm sure her obesity perhaps played, I don't know.
No, it did. Those were all obesity-related comorbidities.
So, for you, that was definitely a powerful motivator.
But for me, my goals are honestly right now my kids and just getting them to be, and they're on their way, but they're in college and they're in their, basically early 20s, and it's getting them to be productive human beings and happy that they can take care of themselves, that they can find a spouse, that they can have kids, that I can see all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what it's all about, right? Being healthy and living, I was talking to somebody, I think somebody I interviewed the other day, I'm training for age 80. I'm training to be healthy as I am now at age 80. So, you know, we want that long and beyond that long healthy life.
So that's our conversation around the last 2 years. What I would tell you is the biggest thing that the last 2 years have taught me is that you can do it. It is possible to achieve your goals and to set new goals beyond weight loss. It is absolutely possible.
I never thought it was possible. And now I've reached my goal weight and beyond. So it is, and I've seen so many other people do that. I've seen so many people lose 100 pounds, over 100 pounds. Like we've talked to people that have lost 200 pounds. One man has lost 300 pounds. I mean, it's just, there was no hope before. And now these drugs have given so many people hope because they work. It's just incredible to see.
So if you're wavering, go talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. There is hope out there.
Yeah.
All right. As always, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Thank you for being a part of our 2-year journey. Thank you for being a part of the Downsized.
We hope you'll be a part of our next 2 years and beyond. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a subscriber. Please, if you've watched this far, you might as well subscribe if you haven't already.
Yep. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And we are the Downsized. See you next time.
Bye.